Good morning to one and all.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I extend a warm welcome to all the participants participated in a webinar organized by St. Joseph College, Commerce Department today on the topic Indian economy and stock market. To brief you about St. Joseph College, St. Joseph College was established in 1995 at the coastal bank of Virar. It's situated 5 to 6 kilometers away from Virar station, and it has excelled right from 60 students. Now it has reached to 1,700 students college, from a junior college to PG level, and we are opted to cater the quality education in the form of education. Now in this lockdown period, let us we thought to convert. Am I audible?
Yes. Continue.
To convert the crisis or a difficulty into opportunity, and therefore Commerce Association, Department of Commerce and Department of Accountancy has organized online webinar to create the awareness about the stock market. Friends, this is the right time to buy or to invest in a capital market or a stock market, and to get equipped and to get benefited out of it. For this webinar, we have an eminent speaker, Dr. Aditya Srinivasan. To introduce Dr. Aditya, Dr. Aditya is working as a Chief Operating Officer and Chief Economist at the Bombay Stock Exchange Broker Forum. He has totally 16 years of corporate experience. He has represented India at Harvard University, USA, South Korea, Japan, Maldives, Oman, Dubai, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Sweden, Indonesia, Turkey, to name a few countries. He has taken more than 2,000 sessions on Indian economy and stock market and trained more than 65,000 participants across India. His qualifications are BBA Finance Distinction, MBA Finance Gold Medalist, PhD Economist, MDP IIM Ahmedabad, CWM Elite USA, ISO 9000 Lead Auditor. He has also presented 23 research papers in national and international conferences and have published 35 research papers. My dear friend, every coin has got two sides. Apart from this, all his illustrious career, Dr. Aditya Srinivasan, sir, he is also running an orphanage at Ahmedabad, and every Saturday, Sunday he travels to Ahmedabad to take care, to feed those yatim or orphan childrens. And he's quite humble. He always requests all the students or participants who come across him that you should help every person, always try to remain humble. And such a renowned personality is there amongst us. Sir, we welcome you and we thank you for sharing your valuable time and being here for this webinar. Friends, thank you. Friends, we have one more eminent personality amongst Honorable Mr. Francis Tuscano. He our Nandip Mandal's president, and Nandip Mandals is our parent body. Honorable Mr. Francis Tuscano, sir, he is an engineer by qualification, and he has remained scholar throughout his school and education, and he is a successful entrepreneur. Such a dynamic personality, we feel proud about our president, Honorable Mr. Francis Tuscano. Tuscano, sir, we also warmly welcome you for this webinar. Friends, we have got our flagship captain of the Well, Dr. Vincent DeMelo, sir, our principal, who always motivates, encourages, and push up to have this kind of webinars in the college or during this lockdown period. Vincent, sir, we also welcome you,
Thank you, sir.
my senior colleague, and our vice principal, Dr. Subhash D'Souza, who is also co-convener of this, co-organizer of this webinar. Very dynamic and energetic personality. Subhash sir, I too welcome you. Dear participants, we have Dr. Aditya's secretary, Shehnaz Madam, who organizes all such seminars, webinars in stock exchange or elsewhere, and she helps us a lot in case any session is to be organized. Shehnaz Madam, we too welcome you. We have got other distinguished participants from other neighboring college and colleges from vicinity, others, Bombay and across. We welcome all those participants. Now I request Dr. Vincent DeMelo sir to express his views about today's webinar. Vincent sir.
Thank you, Prasad sir. A very good morning to everyone. Today's respected resource person, Dr. Aditya Srinivas, Honorable our Mandal's President, Mr. Francis Tuscano sir, conveners of today's webinar, Professor Prasad Dabre and Vice Principal Dr. Subhash D'Souza sir, dear colleagues and all the participants, all of you are warmly welcome at this webinar. To combat against coronavirus outbreak, the UGC said to take preventive measures, maintain social distancing, and encouraged to utilize this time productively by engaging in online learning. Therefore, several colleges in India have started webinars to bridge the education gap created due to college being closed due to COVID-19 lockdown. Taking in accord the need of the era, our Department of Accountancy and Department of Commerce jointly organized the webinar on current economy and stock market investment. The worldwide stock market has a history of crash and recovery, and the stock market is no different from that. Due to COVID-19, no one knows when the economy will be back on track. It would be foolish to expect a quick economic rebound from the current COVID-19 effect. Though the financial crisis is inevitable, considering all out efforts by central banks and fiscal authorities to soften the blow, deep economic slump might be avoided. The problem in current scenario is that until we know how quickly and thoroughly the public health challenge will be met, economists cannot predict the end game of this crisis. Given the current scenario with COVID-19 affecting almost all sectors, the market veterans, advice is like an oasis in the desert for many. Today's resource person, Dr. Aditya Srinivas, will shed light on current economy and stock market investment. I'm sure we will feel prosperous by the knowledge we receive after this webinar. My heartfelt thanks to today's resource person, Dr. Aditya Srinivas, who has accepted the invitation to share his views on this relevant topic. We are grateful to have had such an eminent administrator and a man with a vision and mission as our president. His leadership is reflected in all developmental activities of our institution. Thank you so much, respected Mr. Francis Toscano, for being with us and attending today's webinar. My congratulations and thanks to Professor Prasad Dabre and Dr. Subhash D'Souza on this fine webinar. They have organized an excellent job by you and your team. I'm also thankful to the management committee for their constant support and encouragement. My greeting to everyone present in the webinar. I welcome you all once again to this webinar. May I take this opportunity to convey my very best wishes for an effective, successful and productive webinar. Thank you very much. Have a fruitful day.
Thank you, Vincent sir,
Yes.
for your words, motivating words. Now it's time to we all must be curious to hear Dr. Aditya Srinivas. I request on behalf of all of us to Dr. Aditya Srinivasan sir to take charge of the session.
Sir, first of all, I would really like to thank the college, especially Prasad sir, for taking this initiative. Principal sir, Mr. Vicente de Mello sir, for gracing the occasion, and President sir also. And thank you all of you for giving me this opportunity to share my knowledge about Indian economy and stock market. See, our whole objective is that during this lockdown, if we can share our productive knowledge through online media, then that helps us to reach out to more masses. And we plan to do many such webinars. So even after this, we can plan out, Prasad sir, even a couple of more webinars with your college, where even a general participants, your general people of your local vicinity can also participate. And I can explain them about the working of the stock market, the economy in a very simple, fluid language. In Hindi also, I can take the session. So that is not a problem at all. Now to start with, sir. See, basically, right now, we all are aware that for the past 3 months, COVID-19 has made the world economy come to a standstill. Now, this problem is not a normal problem because it's a pandemic. And pandemic, if you see now, normally it comes 100 years one. It had come in 1720, 1820, 1920, and this time we are in 2020. So if you see even the statistical this thing, so last 400 years, every 100 years this pandemic has come. But the key point in this pandemic is that it has created more financial disruption, more economic disruption, for the simple reason that today the world economies are much more integrated as compared to what they were 100 years back. So today, if there is something wrong in USA, if there is something wrong in Europe, our economy also gets affected. I being in Gujarat right now also get affected. You being in Bombay get affected because world economies are integrated. Dollar flows in global financial markets. So whenever there is a problem in US, Europe, money tries to come out of these our emerging economies and goes back to them. And as a result, stock market feels the knee-jerk reaction. So drastically, stock market comes down, and that basically creates an issue. To start with, friends, see, the January 2020 started on a positive note. In the month of January 2020, FIIs, foreign institutional investors, had invested 12,000 crore rupees in a span of just 19 working days. Saturday, Sunday, the markets are closed. So normally in a month, 18 to 20 days is when the stock market operates. In January, we had a very positive flow of 12,000 crore rupees that had come. In February also, we had 10,000 crore rupees of FII investment coming into our stock market. That is in February till 24th of February. From 25th February till basically, if you see March end, FIIs became net sellers after COVID-19 cases started rising in Iran and Italy first. After that, it entered India. In India on March 20th, we had the first case. So basically, if you see this, the way Indian markets reacted to the global news, we had made our all-time high of 42,270 on 20th January. This was our all-time high. I'll be writing here some data also. This was our all-time high. From there, we came down to 28,000 levels. So around, if you see now, global markets and Indian markets, global and Indian stock markets corrected by 30%, which is a very, very major correction across the world. Across the world, the markets, the stock markets came down by around 30%. So this created a fear in the mind of investors, a fear in the mind of institutions. Where are we heading? Now, first, let us understand why the stock market behaved in this fashion. The stock market always discounts the future. At this point, we have to keep it in mind. It discounts the future. So, when lockdown was initiated, what market was analyzing that when there is a lockdown, when no economic activity is taking place, it is very obvious that the results of corporate India will be very poor. that means result of the companies will be bad. Now, if results are bad, why would basically foreigners or mutual funds go and buy those stocks, or a retail investor for that matter will go and buy the stocks? So when buying doesn't come, obviously market and these particular stocks come under pressure and they start going down. So this is something which we have to keep it in mind. So if markets are not working well, it definitely has a pressure on the stock prices also, because economy is not working well. Nevertheless, IMF, what they have projected for our economy, IMF prediction is that Indian GDP will be around 1.9%. It will be around 1.9% as compared to, this is annual GDP, as compared to below 1% of the world GDP. So that means relatively even we shall perform better. Now this is primarily because of three reasons. The Indian economy in the past also has performed very well. If you see 2008 global financial crisis, that time the world GDP was 1.5%, Indian GDP was 6.3% in 2008. World GDP was 1.5% versus India was 6.3%. That is 2008 global financial crisis. 2011, 1 minute. European crisis, our GDP was 7.1% versus world 2.5%. Then 2015, China crisis, when Chinese economy cracked and their GDP reduced from 9.6% to 6%. So when there was a problem as far as even China was concerned, the world GDP was 3% was world GDP versus India was 7.2%. So we have always outperformed the world economy when it comes to GDP and whenever there has been a global crisis. Yes, currently during this pandemic also, as IMF has projected that Indian economy may perform well. Now the reason for that is we have 1.35 billion people and demand and consumption is our basic strength of the economy. Demand and consumption is our basic strength. Now Indian economy, if you see my friends, Indian economy has three key features. Number one is demographic dividend. Number two, domestic consumption, and number three, high saving rate. So basically, these three are something very vital and important. Now we'll discuss each of them. See, demographic dividend means that India has 70% of people less than 35 years of age. So this means that we have highest number of young working people in the world today. The world is around 185 to 190 countries. We have the highest number of young working people. The average age of an Indian is only 26 years as compared to the average age of a US person, it is 43, China 42, Europe it is 47 years, and Japan it is 52 years. That means these economies have more number of old people, and because of that, their demand and consumption is obviously relatively on the lower side. For the simple reason that their demand and consumption is low because people earn but they do not spend. Now, if you do not spend, how demand gets created in the economy? Money has to circulate. If money does not circulate, then economy cannot grow. It is very important that money circulates so that when I make an expenditure, somebody else it's an income. And when he makes an expenditure, it becomes an income for some third party. This is how money has to circulate in the economy. Second, if you see, basically domestic consumption. Whatever we manufacture in India, 80% is consumed by our own people and we export only 20%. So we are not export dependent country like China and Japan or a tourism dependent country like Europe. We are basically relying on our own demand and consumption. Since we have good amount of demand and consumption, the GDP growth rises and economy is able to perform relatively well as compared to global factors. And the third vital point in our economy is high savings rate. So saving results into capital formation into investment, and investment into asset creation. So we are able to basically create lot of savings. Our savings rate is 27% of GDP. Savings rate is 27% of GDP as compared to world average of 21%. So this means what? We relatively save quite a lot of money. So when we save money, we are able to face any rainy day in an easy manner as compared to European or basically US economy where savings is not there. So the moment they lose their jobs or there is an earning issue, they immediately have a problem related to their credit rating, related to their EMIs, and finally they enter into a debt trap. That is what the plain example of 2008 global financial crisis was. Now here friends, I would like to ask all the participants, if you have any question, please ask. Now we will have an interactive session. It should not happen that I only keep speaking. So any questions are there, please ask. Please feel free to interact. It's an interactive session.
Hello Aditya, it's Amit here.
Yes, Amit, bolo na.
Yeah. Is there any action government needs to be taken, to care all those things?
Amit, can you repeat your question? Is there enough?
Is there any action government needs to be taken to care all those things?
No, but for care regarding what? Economy.
Yes, regarding
Sure.
economy.
Okay, fine. Okay, that is one question. So first I'll take that question. See, basically during this lockdown, the government is trying by various monetary measures and fiscal measures to push the economy and to provide liquidity to the cloud sector. For example, if you see last time, RBI gave 50,000 crore of liquidity, out of which 50% was given to NBFCs, non-banking finance sector, non-banking finance companies. 50,000 crore of liquidity, out of which 55,000 crore for NBFC, non-banking finance company.
There is too much disturbance. I mean,
All participants. Sajid sir, we need to, Prasad sir, we need to mute all the participants. Yes, yes. Amit, what I was trying to tell was, see, one of the initiations what government took was that 50,000 crore rupees of liquidity was given, out of which 25,000 crore had to be given to non-banking finance companies, NBFCs. So government is taking measures to provide liquidity. They have reduced interest rates also. If you see right now the repo rate is lower since 2009. Today the repo rate is around only 4%. 4.40%, which is even lower than the global financial crisis time. So basically, the liquidity is enough available in the economy. But the problem, what I foresee is that demand is not getting created. If you see the loan growth rate, it is at only 7%. The credit offtake, what we call it as credit offtake, is at only 7% as compared to long-term average of India, which is at 16%. So now in good olden days, we used to have 15% growth rate in terms of loan distribution. Right now, it has come down to only 7%. So that basically is one of the root causes and my main worry that demand is not getting created in the economy. Now there are reasons for this. See, if you analyze now, to be very frank, there has been what we can say a spate of corporate job losses. See, if you see Jet Airways, 22,000 people lost their jobs, and these were high-paid jobs, not ordinary jobs. So obviously, those 22,000 people who are having their EMIs and other basically financial commitments, their commitments must have gone out of window. So that is one thing. Second basic point was, if you see apart from this, then in telecom sector, more than 1.5 lakh people have lost jobs. To be very frank, after this Jio and Vodafone war become aggressive in order to protect the margins, in order to cut costs, a lot of people have been terminated. And even in this lockdown, if you see, it is very unfortunate that till March 20th, all companies were working and earning well. It has only been entire April, where work could not happen, but still companies have started moving people, going for salary cuts, which is not valid for the simple reason that corporates have enough amount of reserves and accumulated profit over a number of years. Rather, this is the time where they should have protected the employees and given them full salaries so that they are able to sustain themselves. Why today this entire labor force has to go back? Because their survival has become a question. So government is trying, but to be very frank, to reach a magnitude of 1.37 billion people is a challenge in itself, and especially with the kind of low literacy level we have, the low education level we have, it definitely becomes a challenge. Any other question, Amit, you want to ask, or anybody else also, friends? Please ask question, huh?
Thanks.
Please ask. Because then I will go to the investment part also. Prasad sir, any question? Any other participant wants to ask anything? Shall I go ahead? Prasad sir, shall I go ahead? Saket sir.
Yeah, please go ahead, sir.
Okay, fine. Then we can again have another question after few time. Anybody who wants to ask, no, sir, can immediately stop me and I will answer the question, sir. So don't worry about that.
Okay, sir.
Fine. And in the end, we will have a complete 15 minutes Q&A round also, so that all questions and concepts are clear about it.
Okay, thank you.
Then, sir, if we go to in this particular scenario, what kind of investment pattern you should have, or rather, what kind of investment strategy one should create? Now, that is the most important question which a lot of people ask me. Investment strategy in this challenging time, correct? In this basically time. See, the first thing is you should have at least cash reserve for 6 months. That is the first strategy what you should basically try to aim at. Cash reserve for 6 months, so that if there is any medical emergency or if there is any sudden need, you are not in a panic situation. So that is one of the most important things when I explain asset classes, that cash is king as of now. If you have cash, when I say cash, it means liquid funds in your bank account also, which you can basically go to an ATM and immediately withdraw it, or hard cash in your home. This you should have with a mindset that if your monthly expenses, say for example, 20,000 rupees a month, at least 1 lakh rupees should be in your hand, so that for 5 months you don't have any pressure, irrespective of whether your earning comes or not. So that is the first foremost important thing. Second, if you want to create wealth, if you are having a vision of 3 to 5 years, you can buy good large cap companies. See, when I say large cap companies means you can buy companies from ESC Sensex. That is the one of the best strategies what you can do. Basically, companies like Reliance, HDFC Bank, HDFC Limited. These stocks you can accumulate over a period of time. Every month, say 10,000 rupees you put aside and you want to invest in these stocks. So this will help you to create a good portfolio over a period of time. Here, when you invest in stock market, please understand that, friends, your vision has to be at least 3 to 5 years. That is very vital. Second, you should not put your entire amount in one go. Suppose you have 1 lakh rupee, you should not put entire 1 lakh rupee in one shot. No, that is never recommended. You have to buy in phases. You can buy every month small amount, so that basically there is no pressure on your this thing, no pressure on your budget, and at the same time you are able to manage things in a better way. You are able to manage things in a better way. So this is how you can basically do and get that is your second investment strategy. Third, if you feel that stock market is not my cup of tea, stock market probably will be more volatile, more risky, then you can also go with a mutual fund strategy. You can go with a mutual fund strategy where basically you can put a small amount of mutual funds. You can go with an SIP. SIP is systematic investment plan. Systematic investment plan you can do where every month dedicated amount of money will get debited from your bank account and it will get invested. So that is the second strategy what you can go with as far as markets are concerned. See, in stock market you can, or in capital market you can enter in two ways. One, either you enter through direct route, that is you open your trading and demat account and you invest directly through a broker, or indirect route is you invest in a mutual fund which in turn will invest into stock market. So that will really help you to reduce your risk in a major way, because obviously mutual funds are relatively less risky for the simple reason that your amount is getting invested into 50 to 60 companies. So obviously there is diversification which reduces your risk. The third option is mutual fund SIP. But here one thing I would like to repeat is that when we are talking of mutual fund SIP, then basically you have to understand that it is for 5 to 10 years. You should have a long-term vision as far as mutual funds is concerned. I am doing my SIP since 2007. So I saw the fall of 2008 global financial crisis. I saw the fall of 2011 European Union crisis. And what I have seen is, friends, that after the crisis, our markets always recover very rapidly. They recover very fast, and then the returns are very fabulous. For example, 2008 our markets crashed by 45%, but in 2009 same BSE Sensex gave a return of 81%. So basically, in the long term, you are definitely able to make much more money as compared to other traditional financial instruments. Nevertheless, you should always have that also in your hand. If we go to the fourth investment, that is obviously your fixed deposits, which are very popular in India, or your PPF account, which you should, if you are having, please continue for a full term of 15 years and extend it by another 5 years. For the simple reason that it is the only instrument which is 100% tax free. So your entire capital, interest and redemption money is totally yours. So basically there is no problem as far as your money is concerned. So you can go with fixed deposits or provident fund account also. In just last, I had taken an investor awareness session where one person asked me, okay, basically, should I break my PPF account? So my question to them was, there is no question of breaking in basically your provident fund, because provident fund is something for retirement. Provident fund is for retirement purpose, and it is your safest bet. It is your safest bet. So basically, there is no point in what I can say, even giving a thought to that. So please continue with the traditional financial instrument of FDs and provident fund. Apart from this, now a very interesting asset class, gold. What is gold and how it behaves? See, because gold has always outperformed other asset classes when times are bad. See, always remember, gold has an inverse relationship with three things. One is stock market, one is world economic data, and third is the stock or US economy. So whenever there is a bad news in either of them, gold will go up. Again, I repeat, gold has inverse relation with number one, stock market, number two, world economic data, and number three, US economy. So whenever there is a gold is inverse relationship with stock market, world economic data, and US economy. Means whenever there is a bad news in either of them, the world markets will go down and gold will go up. Now the question may come in your mind is, why does gold behave in this way? See, gold is most liquid asset after cash. It is the most liquid asset after cash. Now one point is very vital, that even foreign institutional investors, what they basically do is that whenever they feel that the equity, mutual funds or property or other asset classes are not going to give good returns, they withdraw money from these asset classes and they start investing in gold. So gold becomes the preferred asset class because it is most liquid asset after cash. It is the most liquid asset. So basically, if you go by this phenomena, you should have at least 10% exposure. You can always have to gold as an investment opportunity also. Investment opportunity. Now here I would like to clarify one thing. See, when we are telling investments in gold, it does not mean we are talking of jewelry. No. You can invest in gold either through ETF, that is through exchange traded fund, where the unit will come in your demat account, or you can buy a physical brick, 999.9 purity brick, which is again accepted in all the countries, and you can sell it at the current market price without any money getting debited. In jewelry, the problem is when you buy, the labor charges get added, and when you sell, the labor charges get deducted. So it always creates a what I can say value loss to the investor. Gold again, friends, as world economy has become more integrated, gold will always have some shining. See, if we see 2007, the price of 10 grams gold was 8,000 rupees. In 2008, there was global financial crisis. So in 1 year, from 8,000 gold went to 33,000 rupees per 10 grams, 33,000 rupees. Once recession fears came down, gold came back to 25,000 rupees per 10 grams in 2015. But again in 2015, The moment China crisis came into the limelight, there were news that Chinese economy has slowed down. China has lot of weightage on the world economy, and even currently we are seeing that. So the moment that news had come, again gold from 25,000 rupees per 10 grams went to 29,000 rupees from 10 grams, and our BSE Sensex had crashed from 30,000 levels to 26,000 levels in 2015. I'm talking. So these two always have an inverse relationship. So that is why you can always have gold as a, what I can say, hedging opportunity. You can always hedge your basically things with gold, and it always gives you return when other things basically don't perform. Just one second. So basically, this will help you to have gold also as an important asset class in your portfolio. Now, lot of people also ask me during investor awareness program, sir, is property worth investing? Now, this is something very interesting question. When we talk of property market, friends, property market is one of the, I can simply say, worst asset class if from investment viewpoint. From investment viewpoint, yes. If you want to live in that house, then go ahead. Simple answer to this. See, for the simple reason is the property market from 2003 to 2030 had a hate time. You buy anything, you will get 50% appreciation. 2014 onwards, since every second company entered into real estate, the two major problems have happened as far as real estate property market is concerned. Too much oversupply. Every second company entered into this business. Huge oversupply. And second, unrealistic prices. Unrealistic. But any whatever price is paid for, they were quoting 2 crore, 3 crore, 1 crore. But the fact of the matter is that no retail investor or no common man has that kind of money or that kind of risk-taking ability that he would take 70-80 lakh rupees loan and basically create such a debt on his head. The result is that today entire thing of property market has come to a standstill. In fact, you will be surprised. Today morning on Money Control, there's a very good article on real estate, and it is clearly telling that Mumbai real estate is out for a bumper sale. That is the heading of that article. In a posh area like Worli, where the prices were normally quoted at 60,000 rupees per square feet, it has come down to 30,000 rupees per square feet. The buyers are not there. So the way property market has come under pressure is primarily because of these two reasons. So if you want to buy a house, only buy if you are going to pay in that. Buying something with a view that I will get a 40-50% appreciation may not solve your purpose. Rather, your capital will get blocked in that. That will create a problem for your other asset classes, because property is one of the most illiquid asset class. You cannot sell it easily. It takes a lot of time for it to get sold out. Last but not the least, if you take two things one has to have in your portfolio is, one is basically Mediclaim, the Mediclaim and term plan from insurance. These two things you should always have, friends. Mediclaim is basically that if the family member or any person is sick, Mediclaim will ensure that your hard money does not go away in paying bills. So that's something we have to keep it in mind. So this is how you have to do. Mediclaim is something very vital, critical and important. You should have a cashless facility in Mediclaim. That is something very vital. And second thing is, you should have a term plan. Term plan is an insurance product which basically gives only pure risk cover. There is no other objective in that. The objective of term plan is that suppose, God forbid, if something happens to the breadwinner of the family, the other people are basically not having any financial difficulty. So that is what the whole objective of term plan is all about. So these two things should be a part of your portfolio. So that would ensure that your life is protected, your health is protected, so that your hard-earned money does not go away in paying hospital bills and other things in times of difficulty. So this is something, friends, you need to keep it in mind. Now, as far as the overall portfolio is concerned, whenever you invest in stocks, again I am coming to the stock part because that is the most vital thing. It helps you to create wealth in the long term. So please invest in large cap companies only. That is something very vital. Large cap companies, since they are well established with good cash flows and less of debt capital. See, always remember, whenever you buy a stock, whenever you buy, two things you need to always be very cautious about is that you should always buy companies which whose net profit is consecutively rising. That is one thing. And second, basically, okay, whose debt equity ratio is zero or near to zero. That is very, very critical, friends. You should not buy something thereby the debt equity ratio is on the higher side. See, all companies which have shut down today, all companies are always having problem whereby who has taken higher loan has got trapped. For example, if you see this thing, Jet Airways, they take a loan of 8,400 crores. They could not pay. The company had to shut down. Kingfisher, 7,000 crore rupees of bank loan, it had to shut down. Reliance Communication, the stock which was at 800 rupees is available at 80 paisa because 46,000 crore rupees of loan taken, and there is no clue how they are going to repay that. So primarily speaking, whenever you buy any company, please understand two things very vital. The net profit of the company has to rise. That is very vital. Net profit has to rise and debt capital should be negligible. Debt capital should be very less or zero. That is why if you see even right now, Reliance Industries chairman, Mr. Mukesh Ambani, in his all meetings, what he has set a target that Reliance Industries should be made a zero debt company before March 2021. Now, why he is so particular about achieving that milestone? Because if you are a zero debt company, then even if your income reduces, you are not answerable and there is no financial obligation on the company. See, if you have a huge amount of loan, what will happen? The creditors will not allow you to function freely. They will interfere and at the same time, they will create other issues also. Clear about it? Can we have few questions? Anybody wants to ask anything, please ask.
Sir, they will ask afterwards.
Okay, fine.
Last 15 minutes, yeah, please.
Okay, so sir, it is 10:43. How much time I have for speaking now?
It's up to you, but up to 1 hour total. Hello. Is it possible up to 1 hour? Next 1 hour? Hello.
Around 10 minutes I continue. No, sir. Okay, okay. Sir, what I'm saying is that I will give for 15 minutes and then we will go for a question answer session.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Hello. Am I visible?
Yeah.
Sir, what I am telling is I will continue for another 10-15 minutes and then we will go for a question answer session. Because
Okay, that will do, sir. Will do. Please continue. Thank you.
See, two questions have come. What is the percentage of investment to be in gold and other commodities to make 100%? See, basically, as far as gold is concerned, I would say at least 10 to 15% investment you should have in gold, 10 to 15%. So that will ensure that if equity markets and other things are not giving you return, to have some return in the form of gold as an investment. That is one. And second, whenever there is a global upheaval, your gold portfolio will always give you decent return. So this is basically a strategy where you are able to protect yourself. Clear? So this is something very, very vital what you need to keep it in mind. 10 to 15% of your total investment funds can be in gold and asset class. When I say gold, again I repeat, it can be basically ETF you can buy in the form of demat unit, or alternatively you can buy in the form of a coin or a brick, but not in the form of a jewelry, because in jewelry what happens is, basically whenever you will buy, you will add labor charges, they will add, and when you sell it, it will get reduced. So always you will have some issue related to the valuation part. Second question what I am seeing here is, any suggestion in companies for investment? Yes. See, basically you can accumulate good blue stocks like, as I earlier said, Reliance Industries, HDFC Bank. See, RIL you can consider, then HDFC Bank you can consider, HDFC Limited you can consider. Then basically apart from this, you can go with Infosys and TCS. Also, Maruti at this price is very good. Fundamentally, it is still a sound company with largest market share in India. So you can accumulate these stocks in a phased manner. See, that is something, friends, very vital. One should not invest haphazardly. And second thing is very vital, that at least you should have 3 to 5 years of horizon. That is very important, friends. See, one thing, never go for trading purpose. Never go for trading opportunities for the simple reason that in trading, especially in intraday trading, there are more chances of your incurring losses rather than making any money. See, in my 16 years of corporate career and dealing with stock market day in day out, what I have come to a conclusion is that ultimately large cap sound companies, when you hold it for long duration, you will definitely be able to create good amount of wealth for yourself. See, there is a difference between wealth creation and profit taking. For example, if you buy a share at 100 rupee and you sell at 120, so you are making a profit of 20%. But when you buy a share at 100 rupee and you sell it at 400 rupees, that is you have created wealth, 4 times wealth you have created. It happens only if you give sufficient time to that investment. You have to give time. Time is basically everything. So if you give time, yes, you will be able to. Time is friends everything. So if you give time, yes, you will be able to. What I can say, you can hold the stocks in an overall duration, and when you hold them, you get bonus, stock split, and other things. So your reward ultimately multiplies. One of the question has come is that most of the suggested stocks are rated high value. Please suggest low value also. See, if you want to go with relatively lesser value stocks, I understand that as a retail investor, yes, there is a concern that should I buy a stock which gets 100 rupees. Then, if not comfortable in that, you can go with something known as SBI, 180, 200 rupees or slightly here or there. You can go with ICICI Bank, that is also fundamentally very sound. But my humble request is, do not go outside Sensex stocks for the simple reason. You see, India has 18 lakh companies, 18 lakh companies registered with ROC. 18 lakh companies registered with ROC. Out of that, 5,400 are listed on, are basically listed on BSE, and Sensex 30 has top 500 companies out of this 5,400. So basically, going with these top 30 companies ensures that you are totally safe and you don't have any problem as far as basically investment or the balance sheet of these companies are concerned. So that becomes a very good particular thing where you can go ahead. One question has come is, can an NRI in shares using Demat account? Yes, NRI can very well invest in Indian shares. There is no regulation on that. Only thing is that he has to have a EIS account with a proper broker, NRI broker and a bank. He has to have that NRI bank account also, and he can very well invest in Indian shares. Rather, lot of NRI in Indian stock markets and they create good portfolio. Please understand, friends, why I am repeatedly telling Sensex stocks or large cap companies. What has happened in the last 2 years, if you observe market now, market has gone up, but broadly speaking, the mid cap, small cap company shares have not performed well. And it is the top 50 companies which have mainly appreciated, and because of which you find Sensex at 42,000 level. So, primarily speaking, the business is getting concentrated in large brands only, in bigger companies only, because people have trust and faith that these companies are able to sustain any kind of or standard stocks is a better and relatively safe strategy in some blue chip or investing in some mid cap, small cap companies where to be high, but at the same time the risk involved is even higher and there are enough probabilities of losing capital. So this is something we have to keep it in mind. As far as, again, I will say, friends, okay, gold is concerned, one again question has come on gold. So as far as gold is concerned, gold can be, as I told, 10 to 15% of your total investment. Total investment. So the best option is you can buy every month. you can buy every month ETF units of gold. That is basically it will come ETF units which will come in your demat account, and finally you can redeem those units as slightly cash and then buy a physical gold out of it. So that becomes a more what I will feel a safer strategy and relatively something doing work. So that will help you to create wealth in the long term. So 10 to 15% of gold is not a bad option, friends. Apart from this, friends, one thing, when you are making a call for doing investments, you always follow a basic rule: never put all eggs in one basket. Please understand this: never put all eggs in one basket. That means if you are completely in FD, you will not be able to create wealth. But at the same time, you should basically not invest entire thing in these equities also, because equities ultimately had basically lot of risk involved into it. So you have to bifurcate your portfolio. Your investment has to be in FD, in provident fund, basically. Then you go with stock market or mutual fund. Here, one interesting topic I would like to take, which has been often asked to me, that sir, is stock market better or is mutual funds better? Out of these two, what is more better? See, both give good results in the long term. Both are basically aimed at capital appreciation, wealth creation. But these things, if you have, then you should go with stock market. Number one, do you have time to devote? Means, do you have time to study the markets? Second, basically understanding of market dynamics. And third, capital. We'll take example. See, suppose you don't have enough time to read Economic Times. You cannot observe market screens because of your other engagements. You cannot track what is happening at the global level or Indian level. Then obviously direct investment in stock market is not your cup of tea, because you are unable to devote time to it. Markets require time. You have to give time, then only you can. Second is basic understanding. When I basic understanding is, okay, what is happening in India, what is our monetary policy, what is happening at the global level, what is our GDP, what is global GDP, what sectors are doing well, what is the current government policies regarding foreign investment. If you have this kind of understanding, if you have a flair for reading this kind of material, then yes, stock market is an area for you. But if you feel that economic data or this kind of data are bored, you are unable to spend time on reading, then definitely go through the mutual fund. Third, most important aspect is capital. That is the most vital thing. See, I take a simple example. One share of Reliance Industries is at say 1560 rupees. So even if I buy 10 shares, I have to pay to the broker 15,600 rupees. Now that very well becomes a costly option. It cannot be sustainable for everyone. Whereas in mutual fund, you can start investing with 500 rupees SIP also. You can invest with 500 rupees SIP per month. So basically, when it comes to capital requirement, mutual fund steals the show. So in mutual fund, any segment, any person from any segment can invest. Whereas in stock market, only a person who is well versed, who has relatively more capital and who can devote time can basically make this investment. So these things you have to keep it in mind before you select stock market versus mutual fund. But again, I would repeat, both are for long-term wealth creation and both will give you good capital appreciation over a period of time. So please do not expect overnight results. If you are trying to make money overnight, that means you are doing speculation, and speculation is always very risky. In speculation, you can earn 1 lakh rupee a day, but at the same time, you can lose 5 lakh rupees a day. So basically, do not go with speculative activity. This is what my sincere request to all participants. Then a question has come, it's very important. How can we get basic knowledge of market and how can we analyze market on our own? See, basically anybody, whether it is student, faculty or even a market person, I always suggest two things if you want to get a good understanding and grip of the market. One, you have to subscribe Economic Times at your home and daily make a habit of reading Economic Times. That is a must, friends. I am doing this for the last 20 years. When I was in first year college, I had one faculty and she had enrolled that newspaper for me. She paid the subscription and enrolled it for me. And since that day, so this I am talking since 1999. Till date, daily I am reading Economic Times. That is the best source of knowledge because they give data in a very systematic way, in a very perfect way. So you are able to get knowledge in a perfect distance. So that is Economic Times is one thing. And second is basically always surfing money control website. Why this website I am telling? Because this website they give all updated articles without any cost. So anything happens at the global level, they will immediately create an article and put it on the website. So this will ensure that you are having good amount of up-to-date data. See, stock markets are dynamic, friends. So basically, unless you know what is happening at global level, what is happening at the level, you will never be able to basically make it out okay, how to track the market. So that is something you need to keep it in mind. Here, as far as channels are concerned, you can use CNBC, ET now, any good business news channel. So that will make you updated. First, you will start analyzing how things work and how they are integrated. See, these things don't come overnight, friends. You have to form a timetable. The daily 1 hour you will be reading Economic Times, you will be surfing the websites, and then you can create your own PPT also where you capture the data. That is something very vital. See, I have a PPT. The title is Current Developments in Economy. I am making that PPT since 2011, and today it is more than 1370 slides of economic data. I will forward that PPT to Prasad sir. You can take it from him. So that is before of global data and Indian data, and which date I have kept. So you will know also on which date this data I have kept. Anybody? Can we have a few more questions? Can we interact? Yes, friends. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so you have mentioned, good morning.
Good
You
morning.
have
Yes,
mentioned three features of Indian economy.
correct.
This is demographic dividend, domestic consumption, and high saving rates.
Correct.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I can hear you. Please tell
Yeah,
me.
yeah. So I just want to know post-COVID effect, whether these three features of economy will help us to survive, and
Yes.
what is your projection about the Indian economy post-COVID?
Okay, fine. See, basically, what I feel your question is very valid, rather. Okay, will India bounce back? The answer is yes. It will immediately bounce back. See, I give you just yesterday's recent example. Yesterday, there was an interview of Hyundai CEO, Hyundai, the car company, i10, i20. That company, since May 5, has been slightly starting its production and it has opened its 50 retail outlets. You will not believe 4,000 car bookings have come, 4,000. And in last 3 days, they have sold 170 cars. Similarly, Hero Motorcorp opened its showroom in green zones. Wherever in India there is green zone and they had their retail outlet, they opened it. In 2 days, totally pan India, 10,000 bikes they have sold. So please understand that our domestic demand and consumption is our backbone. And this demand and consumption is going to remain with us for another 100 years. For the simple reason that India has a very strong family structure and a marriage system which is intact. The problem in global economy is that one generation has become old, but there is no other generation to look after them. As a result, they earn, but they do not spend. Whereas in India, we don't have that kind of issues. We have a proper family structure. If the parents are in 50s, they have children which are in 25 years of age. So basically, we have a generation to generation legacy, and that ensures that demand and consumption keeps on taking place. So post-COVID also you will find there will be a V-shaped recovery. When I say V-shaped recovery means economy will also revive in a matter of 3 to 6 months, and at the same time stock markets will also bounce back like anything. For the simple reason that as economy bounce back, immediately other things will also come back on track. Yesterday, the IRCTC started its railway booking. You will be surprised that as far as within 4 to 5 hours, all the 15 trains, all tickets got booked. So that shows that even in this pandemic, how much are basically people willing to travel, willing to consume. So basically, consumption, demographic dividend is our core strength. So based on that only, even the IMF is telling that India will relatively perform much better as compared to global market. One another thing, if you if you see global data regarding this pandemic and Indian data, see, if we talk about India, friends, then first thing is our recovery rate is 31%, which is, I think, highest in the world. Recovery rate is very strong. Second, in India, the need for ventilators has been very less as earlier what it was projected. In foreign countries, in Spain, France, Italy, US, UK, what has been observed is the moment a person falls ill, the death rate there is very high. He needs a ventilator, and then unfortunately he is unable to survive. The death rates have gone high and they are phenomenal. But in India, if we see, today there are 70,000 people who have been infected, but the death rate is only 2,200 people. The recovery rate is very strong because our immune systems are relatively much strong as compared to other parts of the people who are in the Western countries and who especially are in the colder regions. So if you see all these things, now our economy bounce back will be much faster as compared to those economies. Based on that, we have this confidence that India will bounce back. Yes. Now, one more question is, I think on SIP, man. Yes, Dr. Rasika, you wanted to ask something on SIP?
Yeah, good morning, sir. Dr. Rasika here. First of all, thank you so much for giving knowledge about the current scenario and investment pattern. Sir, my question is about SIP. Can you please throw some light on the SIP?
Yes, see, basically, SIP is systematic investment plan. It simply means that if you have done an SIP on a particular date, that much amount on that particular date, that fixed amount will get debited from your bank account and it will be invested in stock market. So when you are investing every month, obviously your average cost of buying goes down and in the long term your wealth creation goes up. So that is what is basically SIP all about. And SIP basically helps you to do rupee cost averaging. Rupee cost averaging means that if you are buying every month, obviously your average cost will go down because markets fluctuate. So in one month, the market may be at 31,000. In another month, it will be at 30,000. In the third month, it will be at 29,000. So you are buying at all the levels. So this ensures that basically your average cost of buying will go down. So when markets come in bull run, your returns get magnified. So that is why SIP is a better option. Second, in SIP, you can start with as low as 500 rupees a month. So it does not create any burden on your wallet also. Clear, ma'am?
Thanks, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay. Then second is, one question has come. What are the reasons or elements that market is up or down? See, the main reason or element for the markets to react is global information, global economic data and Indian economic data. We understand that our markets react to global situations in a very fast manner for the simple reason that there are four countries in the world, four triggers which you have to keep it in mind. One is USA, Europe, China and Japan. US contributes, friends, 23% in world GDP. Europe contributes 20% in world GDP. China contributes 9.3% and Japan contributes 8.7%. So these all four economies jointly control 61% of the world economy. So the point is that, friends, whenever there is a negative news coming out from these economies, you will always find basically our this thing going down, our stock market is going down because they are predominantly, we get 50% of our foreign flows from US economy alone. So that is why I had told that reading economic times money control is very vital so that you come to know okay, what exactly is going to happen at the global level. That is very, very vital. Clear? I hope I have been able to clarify that. Again, I repeat, global indicators, US, Europe, China and Japan. These four things you need to track. There is no other option. These four economies, USA, Europe, China and Japan. These four economies you need to track. That is something very vital. See, then a question has come. According to you, which sector has more scope and will increase the GDP after this world economic crisis? Do you think that this investment will boost economy? See, basically any sector which deals with consumption, for example, automobile, then sales of TV, fridge, other things, consumer goods, will obviously see revival very fast for the simple reason then basically hospitality industry. But all this will revive only after a proper vaccination has been found. See, please understand that our economy is based on basically consumption pattern. So anything which deals with consumption is the first to rebound. Capital intensive sectors will take time to rebound because first we will have to open the factories, get back the workers. See, you must be aware that there has been a huge migration of workers from the cities to their native places. So if we want to run factories, industries, we need to get those workers back to the cities. Then only we will be able to resume production. So that is something you need to keep it in mind. As far as disinvestment is concerned, see, to be very frank, in this market scenario, doing disinvestment will not be that easy for the simple reason that markets are right now very volatile. You are observing that someday it goes up by 1,000 points, then it drastically comes down because markets are trying to get clue that what US and Europe is doing in order to find a vaccine. So unless a strong and positive news comes that a vaccine has been found out, markets won't have one-sided bull run. So in this situation, you need to be very cautious while deploying your hard-earned money. Clear? Then one question
Hello.
is regarding, yes ma'am, anything you want to ask?
So I just want to know. See, IMF has
Yes,
already
yes,
projected. Can you
yes.
hear me?
Yes, tell
Has
me, tell.
already projected that economies in Asia will see no growth in this year for the first time in 60 years, last 60 years, with
Right.
service sector particularly under pressure. So just want to know which service sector is going to have a great effect for this pandemic issue, and which service sector is going to have an opportunity in this sector apart from hospitality, whatever you have mentioned.
Yes, see, apart from these things, what I feel two things. Health services and insurance sector is to be see the maximum benefit. See, today everybody has realized the value of human life. So everybody will see that do I have a proper medical which ensures that if I am ill, my financials are not getting disturbed. So this insurance, medical and term plan. See, today please understand in India also 2,200 people have died. Now, out of these 2,200 people, we assume that at least 50% would be bread earners in their respective families. Now, who will basically support those families financially? Now, had these people had a 1 crore rupees term plan, obviously the company would have paid that 1 crore and the particular family won't have any financial difficulty. So that is why insurance services, healthcare services will now get lot of weightage and importance as compared to what we earlier had. Because in any case, India spends only 3% on education and healthcare of its GDP as compared to global average of 10%. So now this pandemic has created lot of awareness and has brought into limelight the need of proper healthcare system, need of formal jobs. See, even we need to create formal jobs. They cannot have people running on the roads, helter skelter when they don't have food to eat and water to drink. Now, why this happened? Because they did not have proper jobs. They did not have any registration mechanism. The need of the hour is we need to give them proper jobs with a PF number and other things, where government and private sector will have to come together and share this responsibility. Otherwise, India will have a situation where on one side we have lot of haves and on other side we have huge amount of have-nots, which is at presently happening. So that question needs to be addressed very strongly. The question is there, ma'am. Okay, as far as chart patterns and other things. See, as far as charts and technical analysis is concerned, technical analysis is a science which basically deals with understanding chart patterns and predicting where the market goes. So it is a science which has to be learned in detail and it has to be practiced well. Without practicing, one cannot know basically one cannot know technical analysis and one cannot practice it, and that is primarily used for trading opportunities. So if you want to be a trader, if you want to generate, if your target is collectively daily earn 1,000 rupees from volatility in the stock market, then probably that is the science you can go after. But as far as please understand that long term, ultimately it is the fundamentals of the economy, the fundamentals of the companies which determine whether markets and the prices of the stocks will go up or down. As I earlier said, whenever you buy a stock, two things you have to keep it in mind. Number one is basically net profit of the companies, and second basically you have to see the debt equity ratio of the company. debt equity ratio is something very vital. If basically less debt equity ratio is there, the company is bound to perform. So this is something very you have to be cautious about it. If anybody wants to learn technical analysis, I can give reference of a good technical analyst whom I am in touch with, and you can basically learn from them. It can be learned through basically Skype WhatsApp, and it can help you mastering that particular skill. So that I will share the details with Prasad sir, and then we can work out something. So that is not a problem. Then question is, what will be the future of hospitality industry post COVID? Please understand, friends, the hospitality industry, tourism, travel, airline industry, this everything immediately bounce back once vaccine is found out. See, no person can remain in home forever. If you see even yesterday, the moment IRCTC website 4,300 people tickets, 82,000 immediately was basically booked. Over 45,000 tickets worth 16 crore rupees have been used in last 7 days where special trains were run. So basically this shows that the moment things come to normalcy, you will again find airlines, hospitality industry and other industries coming back on track. Yes, it may take some time, but definitely it will not take much time. And what I see is that the way the Oxford University is also claiming that they have already found a vaccine, and on 1st September they will be launching 10 lakh units of that vaccine. Slowly and gradually by September, October, I think life will come back in shorter. We will again see our normal days back. Yes, anybody else wants to ask anything? Any other questions anybody wants to ask? Please ask. Huh? Future aspects of market. Okay, and then is effect of agriculture economy as far as exports are concerned. Okay. See, what if you see future aspect of the market? Yes, what I would suggest you simple logic. If you have 1 lakh rupee, just invest 15,000 rupees right now, 15% of total capital, and you should invest in a phase wise. But again, I would say you one thing that as I told you, the moment we get a news that a vaccine is out, things are okay, stock market will have a V-shaped recovery. V-shaped means very quick recovery for the simple reason that market always discounts the economy first. So it is the stock market which will react first and then the economy will react. So please understand that markets definitely will basically react positively the moment we have some good news coming out on this COVID front. Apart from COVID, there is no other negative sentiment. In fact, before this COVID had come, in January, February, we had anticipated that markets will cross 50,000 this year for the simple reason that in Jan and Feb, lot of foreign institutional investors were putting money. Why? See, last year, if you see September 2019, our government had reduced the corporate tax from 30% to 22%, which makes India one of the most what we can say, tax attractive destinations for corporates. And for manufacturing, if somebody sets up a new manufacturing unit after 1st October 2019 and starts production before 31st March 2023, the corporate tax rate applicable is only 15%. 15. So obviously, India becomes we can say a good destination for investments in corporates also as well as in manufacturing also. So global companies are eyeing upon India. Plus, if you see the way China has behaved in this entire whole thing of COVID-19, lot of economies will now start shifting their production base from China to other countries which have a cheap labor, in which India definitely commands a premium. Not only this, by 2030 you will see friends, India will become a net exporter of manpower because we have the highest number of young working people. So lot of countries will require trained manpower from a country like India. So obviously in short term there is pain, but in medium to long term we will definitely have very good days to come ahead. So this is about market and about economy also. So just have patience and faith in yourself and in your investment. One question has come. Sir, just 1 minute. See, one question is considering the COVID situation, which is wise investment for 3 to 2 years, shares, MS or FDs? See, again I said never put all eggs in one basket, FD and provident fund. That in any case you have to do whether COVID was there or not. So that is obviously a distinct. But yes, you can invest in good quality shares, blue chip shares. Again, I am telling Reliance, SDFC, other these kind of companies, SBI, ICICI, so that in the long term you are definitely able to make good amount of wealth for yourself. So please keep that particular thing in mind. It is for long term. So if you buy in long term and in phases, that definitely you will make good amount of capital appreciation for yourself. So this one point you have to keep it in mind. Second, basically, I don't think government will increase any tax after COVID, because right now the need of the hour is that we need to basically get economy back on track. So once the economy comes on track, people start moving, people start doing activities, GST collection will come back. Last year, if you see the entire year, the average GST collection was 96,000 crore rupees. 96,000 crore, which is a huge amount. Which is obviously a huge amount. So going ahead now, what I feel is that things will get normal and everybody will be able to resume their normal life. It is only a matter of time that as of now, yes, we need to have patience and we need to just clear things as of now. See, in Nifty and Sensex, if you see in Nifty and Sensex, which companies you should invest, then again I will tell RIL, HDFC Bank, HDFC, SBI, ICICI, then you can go with Asian Paints, HUL. I agree, these stocks are about 1,000 rupees, but trust me, quality comes at a cost. So don't see the price. You can buy 2 stocks, 5 stocks every month. There is no need to buy 100 stocks in one go. You buy every month, then over a period of time, yes, you will definitely have relatively more good opportunity to make money. Some information on mutual funds. As far as mutual funds are concerned, my simple advice is, especially to the academic fraternities, that simple you do 5,000 rupees SIP, 5 to 10,000 rupees SIP. You have to do one SIP in a proper equity diversified fund, which is large cap oriented. Again, I will say not mid cap, small cap, but large cap oriented. Second, basically go with an index fund, because index ultimately rises over a period of time. So you can go with an index fund and you can invest in BSE Sensex index. So over a period of time, when index rises, obviously your returns will magnify. From 1979 till date, the CAGR return of BSE Sensex is 16.5%. So obviously you will make good amount of money in that particular time. So in the particular index. Third, you can do a SIP in a sector fund also. Sector fund will have a high risk return, but still I feel that if you can invest in a sector fund which invests in private sector banks, for example, Nippon Banking Sector Fund is one good fund. SBI Banking Sector Fund is there. So you can invest in those categories, and where you can definitely make good amount of money in this kind of sector fund. So keep this thing in mind. Hope I have been able to answer all the questions. Effect on FDI. See, foreign direct investment is anyways coming in India, and what I after COVID-19 and other things, FDI will again rise, because obviously India will relatively perform relatively much better. If you see last year, see Samsung in 2018 started its largest mobile manufacturing plant in Gurgaon, largest mobile manufacturing plant. IKEA, world's largest furniture company, has opened a store in Hyderabad and planning to open 22 such stores in entire India. 2 are there for Mumbai and Gujarat also. Then basically, if you see what the Flipkart has been now taken over by Walmart by giving a valuation of 1.35 lakh crore. So why Walmart gave such a huge valuation? For the simple reason, they are confident about the growth of Indian economy. They are confident about the growth of entire world economy. So that is why they are putting money into our economy, our company. So if you see all this, obviously FDIs in the coming time will go up, and FII investment will also go up. Only thing is that one needs to have some patience, because these things take time to materialize. They don't happen overnight. So if you have a 5 to 7 years vision of economy, stock market, you are bound to make decent amount of capital in that. Prasad sir, anything else? Prasad sir, any other question or? One question has come lastly that most of the economies are suffering from economic crisis. How it is going to affect Indian economy? See, as we had discussed earlier also, 80% of our production happens in-house. So we are export-oriented or export-dependent economy. We are more of a domestic-driven consumption economy. So this will ensure that our economy performs well. And as I had earlier said, even foreign countries will invest into our economy for the simple reason that they also want to sell their products. And India has a number of young working population, which will ensure that demand and consumption does not dry out in our economy, and we are able to relatively perform well. So in the long term, trust my judgment that our economy and stock market both will perform well. Does the option market is good in today's market? The future and option are basically derivatives product, friends. So derivatives involves high risk, high return, and it involves a lot of what I can say, fast decision making. So if you are able to take quick decisions, if you trade fast, then only that. Otherwise, I personally recommend you to invest in any of the derivatives product, whether it is equity derivative, commodity derivative, or currency derivative. Ultimately, but speculative products in which your probability to extremely high. Prasad sir. Prasad sir. Anything else or should we close now?
I think Prasad sir is not audible.
Okay.
I think we can conclude the session, but before that, I have a lot of thanks. Respected President of Nandip Mandal, Mr. Francis Tuscano, today's distinguished speaker, Dr. Aditya Srinivasan, my colleagues and all dear participants, it's my privilege to thank on behalf of IQAC and college to our distinguished speaker and all the participants. Sir, it was very interesting session today. It was very informative. Your valuable guidance has entered our mind. Talk about large cap companies, and we also talked about today's situation. There was optimism in your speech. Market recovers very fast after the crisis. So I'm sure it will happen once the crisis gets over. So on behalf of our president, our principal sir, and my staff, sir, I am really thankful to you. Thank you very much. I'm grateful to you for spending your valuable time for our college. Thank you very much, sir. Today, our president, Mr. Francis Tuscano, is with us, and along with him, some of our management is there. They always guide us, direct us, always encourage us. They are really visionary in nature. So on behalf of our staff, I thank Mr. Francis Tuscano, Honorable President, and all managing committee members. Thank you very much, sir. Our principal, Dr. Vincent, always encourages us all the time. He is there all the time with us. He guides us. So Dr. Vincent, sir, on behalf of our commerce and all the participants, I thank you very much for your guidance and your encouragement. Today's program today's session was organized by Commerce, and it's a privilege that Professor Prasad has really done excellent job in organizing such a workshop based on current economy and stock market investment. I thank Prasad sir for his initiative. I thank IQAC coordinator Dr. Jonathan Toscano, who is there always to help us and guide us. Dear friends, today's the dynamic scheduling of Zoom meeting and registration link and certificates was done by Professor Jordan and Professor Shraddha. I'm really grateful to Jordan sir and Shraddha madam for helping us in preparing this Zoom meeting. Dear friends, I must thank all the participants. You spent your valuable time. Many interesting questions were asked, and our sir has explained so nicely. Once again, I thank all the participants. Once again, I thank Dr. Aditya Srinivasan, his secretary, Shahnaz madam, and all of you. Thank you very much. God bless you. Now there is an announcement. All the participants will get the certificate after receiving feedback from you. Feedback link will be sent to you
In due course. In due course.
in due course. So please fill up the feedback form and then you will get the certificate. Thank you very much. Now before I conclude, I request Professor Prasad to say concluding word.
Am I?
Yeah.
Hello. Thank you, Dr. Subhash sir, for proposing a vote of thanks. Thank you. Thanks once again. Thank you, Dr. Aditya Srinivasan sir. Although the stock market is on, it is operational, but you have spared your precious time out of your busy schedule, and we express once again our profound gratitude. Once again, thank you, Jordan and Shraddha, for extending their support, IT support, and all the participants for patiently listening this valuable session. We will, you can request me on WhatsApp if you want, in your college also, if you want to organize such kind of webinars. Thank you, Shahnaz madam also, Aditya Srinivasan sir's secretary. She always helps us organize this kind of webinars and all. She schedules it. Shahnaz madam, thanks to you too. Once again, thank you very much. May I request Shraddha madam to end the session. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you. It was indeed my pleasure. The
Thank you.
group was extremely
It was
well.
very- it was very interesting.
I really enjoyed interacting with all of you. It was really a great pleasure. And after only two things I just needed from you was a sheet of all the participant details. It was needed for our record purpose. So that is,
Yeah. Shahnaz madam has told me already.
right.
I will do the needful. Yeah. Thank you.
Sir,
Yeah.
we can plan similar sessions again also, because SEBI is after us that we do more kind of these sessions for knowledge sharing and other things. So
Right,
even
right.
for your other wings, and even for the local investors, we can do. So please feel free to get in touch with her, and you can take other dates also during this month, and we can do another 3-4 sessions also.
Sure, sir. Sure. Thank you. Madam, please end the meeting. Please conclude it. Please.